Hello everyone. Today I am bringing you a review video on my stay at Scape Greenwich. Now you watching this video are probably one of two people. One, you follow me, you've been watching my videos for a long time and you're like, yes, give me that tea, I relish in that. Hello to you. Or you are looking into staying at Scape yourself while at university, and probably at Ravensbourne University, which is where I studied. I did digital film production. I will be doing a whole video on my experience of being on that course and the ups and downs of it. Now, Scape is a student accommodation which is located 10 minutes from Ravensbourne University, so 10 minutes from the O2 and 10 minutes from North Greenwich Station. They are all in the same space. And it is actually one of the top recommended student accommodations for Ravensbourne, that and Unite, which is at Stratford, and another one, I can't remember what it's called, but my friend stayed there, and that's just your typical student accommodation in a sense of you are in a flat with like 8 other people or 4 other people or what have you, and you have your own room and a shared kitchen amongst like a handful of people, right? Scape is a lot different to that, and it has its ups and downs, it really does. If you hear the children, apparently these walls are really thin. Also, welcome to my new apartment. Now, I don't know whether to start with the negatives or the positives because there is a hell of a lot of negatives and not that many positives, but I don't know. Something I do want to say before I fully delve into this video is this is my experience and my friend's experience with Scape. For other people that have stayed there, they might have had the most amazing experience, met the most amazing people, and just felt no qualms with it at all. Is that the right word? Qualms? If it is, that's a good word. But yeah, they had no problems with it, okay? I get that some people out there will have had no problems. However, as someone that stayed there for 2 years and stayed in 2 different rooms on both sides of the building and went through everything that was thrown at me, I feel like I need to speak up on it. Now, I also want to say there are other Scape accommodations in London and around the UK. I don't speak for any of those. This is purely my personal experience with Scape Greenwich and my 2 years of being there. Okay, cool, disclaimer out the way. Please don't attack me if you had a good time there, because if you did, I'm very happy for you and I'm kind of jealous because we'll get into it, but my God. So we're going to first start off with what you are offered when you pay your monies to stay at Scape. Now, there are different tiers of room, but the standard room costs you around about 11 grand a year. Now, to put that into perspective, that is extremely expensive for student accommodation. Not only just student accommodation, but specifically for London student accommodation, that is expensive, okay? And the reason why I personally stayed there was because I was so stressed about moving to university and it looked the best and safest place to go, so I was like, cool, we're gonna go. And also, if you are from Ravensbourne, you can get, well, you could get, again, I don't know, everything's changing this year, okay? This could all be like completely lie, but when I stayed at Scape, I got, I think it was something like £500 off of my total because I was at Ravensbourne, if that makes sense. So there was a little bit of leeway with money. However, the second year, that went up to like 12 grand, and now I know it's more expensive than that. I think the last time I actually saw how much it cost to stay at Scape, it was £230 a week. And to put that into perspective, my sister went to university in Canterbury, and I'm pretty sure it was like £120 a week. So money is the biggest negative, because why is it so expensive? Like, I stayed, as I said, in Scape for 2 years. I stayed in this room. I stayed in 2 different rooms, but they were the same room, really. I stayed in this room for 2 years of my life. You walk into this tiny little room and you have a kitchenette, a bathroom, which is a shower room, really. You have a desk, you have a bed, which does have underbed storage, and you have a really big window and a windowsill. And really that window, the only bit you can open is to the side, and it's tiny, but we'll get on to that. But that is your space, okay? And I was in this space for 2 years of my life. I went a bit crazy, okay? I went a bit crazy. Now, if you've seen my videos before, you'll have seen me filming in and around that area. And it did the job first year, I'm not gonna lie. It was a place that I could sleep, and I could work, and I could eat, and I could go to the toilet, and I could have a shower. You know, what more could you ask for? Apparently a lot, now that I'm slightly grown up and know housing ideas and renting and actual stuff like that, which, when did this happen? Anywho, it's a small space, and it's a rather dark, dull, and not very ventilated space. So the window, as I said, is really just a really small panel, and it's to the side, either to your left or to your right, and you can open it and you're thinking, yes, this is an open window. No, it is literally a metal panel with loads of little circles in it, and that's where your air comes from, through those little circles, okay? When I say it felt like a jail cell by the end of my 2 years, I mean that. Like, I genuinely was going insane. I am vitamin D deficient, like a lot of people in the UK, but staying in Scape made it so much worse because the sunlight didn't really happen. If you had your blind open all the way, because it was a massive window, so you could get light in, but no air, but if you had it open all the way, you could lock eyes with the person opposite you. So I tended to keep it closed because I do this, and it looked weird, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, hide away with my anxieties and just stay in the dark and hibernate, which is dangerous. Don't do that. If you can go out in the sunlight, go out in the sunlight. But because of all this, I genuinely felt like I was in a little tiny prison cell, and hello. But hey, you might like it different to me. I just felt like I was in hell, really, in a tiny little dark space that the shower would then make humid because there was no air for it to dehumidify. Is that the word I'm looking for? Also, you'd bake and cook in the same kitchen that is your bedroom, and the smell of your food would then go onto your, like, bedding, and it was just a whole big thing. And yeah, that's pretty much what you were paying £230 for, that space. Now, another thing I didn't like about the room itself, actually two things. Three, maybe. We'll go with two. In the kitchen, there was no different flooring. It was just carpet throughout the whole thing. So if you dropped food on the floor, that was it, okay? Your carpet was ruined. Imagine if you dropped, like, gravy granules. I don't know why you would, but imagine if you did. And okay, you could hoover it up, but you'd always know there were gravy granules in the carpet. Not a fan. Also, that's how bugs and flies happen. And I actually had quite a few moths come into my room. Where else are we going? Where my brain is going all over the place. Stick with me. I'm sorry if this is chaotic. I have no way of controlling my brain thought process. Cool. The other facilities that are available to you as a Scape liver, you also have access to washing machines and tumble dryers. However, she's expensive, first of all. Okay, you're already spending this, what, like 11, 12 grand a year on student accommodation, and they heap onto it another however much you'd spend on laundry. I think in the end it was like £2 to wash your laundry, which probably doesn't sound too bad, but when you have to wash your clothes for work every other day and you can't afford that, that becomes an issue. I forget what the brand is. I'm going to put it here. But a lot of students use this brand for their washing, and I'm sure they all understand the pain. But yeah, just be warned, it's expensive if you're going to stay there. Also on the fact of laundry is, there was over 200 people living at Scape. There were 4 washing machines, and most of the time at least one of them was broken. So picture this, okay? You're thinking, Sunday, I'm not at uni, I haven't got work, everything's chill, I'm gonna do my laundry today. No. Do not do your laundry on a Sunday, okay? I learnt that the hard way. I once waited, I think, an hour, maybe 2 hours for a washing machine, and then I was late to bed, and then I woke up really angry and I missed my lecture. Lifts. That's what we're going to talk about now. So in my first year, we actually did a film called Out of Order, which was a terrible film. It's behind me. It's on my channel somewhere, but it's behind me, okay? We've gone on to much bigger and better things. However, we did do a short film called Out of Order, and it was set in a Scape lift. Not a Scape lift, but just a lift, but we used the Scape one, if that makes sense. Which is quite funny, because for half of my stay, first year, the lift was broken. Well, one of them was. And they wouldn't give you really like an answer as to when they were going to fix it. It just stayed broken for a long, long time. And Also, something to note is that you do have a kitchen downstairs. However, there was about 4 or 5 cookers for 200 people. You don't really have access to a full-on kitchen, or if you do use it, it's not clean because other students don't clean it after them. So it just kind of put me off the whole thing, and I didn't really want to be down there by myself waiting for my food to finish cooking, because you couldn't really socialise in Scape. As much as they like you to think that you can, unless you drink, there wasn't really any way to kind of be downstairs and just chill, because it was just some seats that you could drink at. I think we went down there a couple of times when we were drinking, but that was about it. Otherwise, I'd just hide away in my room. Something else that happened to me was when I was leaving first year, I obviously was moving out of my room, and when I moved in, there was glue stains on the floor. The desk was like cut into. I'm guessing someone had used a craft knife and it had gone wrong, and then when they were making their craft project at rave, and then they dug a hole in the desk basically. The hob on my cooker was like chipped, and yeah, it just wasn't the cleanest. I remember having to actually clean the bin and clean the fridge before I started using it because it hadn't been fully cleaned. However, when you move out of Scape, they're like, clean it or we'll fine you. So they took your money, but then they didn't actually clean it. But I was moving out, and thank God for YouTube, okay? Because they come along with their, we're not going to give you your deposit back. We're going to take like £400 from you because you chipped your hob. And I'm over here like, honey, I haven't even used that thing. Like, I use that microwave for my food, okay? So you ain't getting me this way. And I found in a vlog from the first day I moved in a tiny little picture of that chip in the hob. And I got out of paying that £400 because it wasn't me. Also, the glue stains, they were like, this was you. And I was like, well, no, it wasn't. Here's another picture. And yeah, so thank you for me vlogging, past Amelia, because you saved me like £400 So hallelujah. Also, it doesn't make sense in a way that, because I know that that wasn't me, it was there before, it must have been on a record somewhere that those things were broken, or they had taken deposit from the previous person that had broken them and then not done anything about them, allowing me to move into a broken room and then take my deposit from me, or at least try to, but I'm smarter than that. So yeah, one thing I would suggest is, as soon as you go into anywhere, not even just Scape, just any new place, take pictures of everything you can. Take pictures of every little tiny inconvenience, because they will try and get as much money out of you, but you can get them back, okay? You can be smarter. You can be smarter. I wrote down, like on my screen, like a load of things, and it just says depression. So I think we're gonna delve into that right now, because I know it's a heavy topic, but it is something that played a big part in my second year at staying at Scape. And I know my friends and family, like, I joke about it, and I know that they know that I'm more serious about it than I joke, but I don't know to what extent they understand it. But let me tell you, being in a dark, no air space that is just kind of secluded really, really messes with your head, and I don't recommend it for anyone. I now actually live with my friend Bethany, who also stayed at Scape second year, but we've been living together for about a year now, I think. It's like been a year and like a couple of weeks, maybe a month, I'm not sure. However, moving into a bigger place that is actually cheaper, and there's more air, there's windows that can open, there's like a bathroom that's a whole bathroom with a bath that I can have a bath in. But like having a bigger space to just breathe and walk around and be able to say, that's my bedroom, this is the living room, my desk is over there, like putting work over there and sleeping over there, like it's just so much better for your brain. And let's say year 2 for me was a very, very dark time in my life, probably the darkest time ever. Specifically the November. Picture this. It was the worst month of my life, and I'll tell you for why. So first thing is, I was walking home one night after work. We closed quite late, so I was walking at like 11 o'clock at night, and I wasn't hurt in any way, but I was walking back from North Greenwich Station, which is by the O2, down the road in front of Scape, and I got halfway home and someone ran up next to me and just took my phone out of my hand and ran off with it, and luckily I wasn't hurt, obviously. However, it has messed me up since. This situation obviously happened. It made me extremely anxious. I am yes, I have a mental health issues. I have anxiety, I have depression, I have just the confusingness that is dissociating from the world quite frequently. This is coming back to the topic of Scape. Going back to Scape, after all of that had happened and someone had taken my phone, there was a lovely guy who actually helped me, took me back to Scape. Scape were useless, first of all. I want to say this right now. Scape didn't know what to do whatsoever. They didn't have the first thought of what to do, and I don't know what I'd have done if there wasn't that random guy who saw the whole thing happen and then helped me. He phoned the police for me. He stood with me and let me like breathe and try and work out what was happening with my life, while the guy on reception at Scape was just like, do you wanna, what do you want? What do you want? And the guy was like, give her your phone. Like, let her phone her parents. Let her use your phone. So yeah, Scape weren't great in that sense, in a sense of their staff not being very helpful, but obviously I don't want to put it onto a person to suddenly have to deal with this, because I don't know what I'd have done in that situation, to be honest. That was a very big rant. I get why they didn't necessarily like help, but they could have been better about it, or they could have been quicker about it. Like, the guy seemed so unfazed that I was just there like hyperventilating and just having a mild breakdown. But yeah, Scape is not a place that you want to come back to and then have to walk that road every single night for the next year. And that all happened in November, and from then I really only got the bus from the station to Scape, which is a 2-minute bus, but it cost me more money, but I couldn't walk down that road sometimes. So that's fun, hee hee. So that was the first thing that happened in November. Then I also lost my voice because I had a throat infection. Woohoo! However, for someone that likes to talk, having no voice for 2 weeks, I was so secluded, okay, because I was ill. Like, I had a cold, which then made the throat infection worse, which then really like pushed the throat infection. So I was not only like physically like sick and unable to really move from my bed, I was like snotty and gross and fever and everything. I had to stay in my escape room, and I had to stay there, and I couldn't go to work because obviously I had no voice, so I wasn't able to perform in my duty of being a retail associate. And yeah, it was a very sad time for me, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And yeah, Scape didn't really make it any better because it's a tiny little hellhole. Little tiny hellhole. Again, just my opinion, but it's a tiny little hellhole. One thing I do want to add is that yes, I was mugged on the way back to Scape on that road. However, that's got nothing to do with Scape itself. The actual mugging happening is not something that Scape set up or what have you, and I want to differentiate those two things. It was just very unfortunate for it to happen to me. I don't know if none of this had happened, I'd have a different view of Scape, but it really opened my eyes to having such a small space to live is not healthy. And yeah, that went very dark there, apologies, but I felt like it was needed as something that should be considered, because if you have mental health issues and being alone a lot or being in such small spaces would like trigger that to make it worse, I really don't recommend going to Scape. I don't think it's worth your mental health. And it got to a point where I'd go home, like home and see my family, and then I'd be dreading going back to London. Like, I would be like crying. My parents don't know this, but I'd be like crying in the back of the car because like I didn't want to go back to Scape because I hated it so much. And as soon as I got out of there, as soon as I gave those keys back, I was like, goodbye, you'll never see me again. I think that's everything on the negative. Oh, wait, no. Okay, they also had silverfish. Also, someone's whole room flooded. Also, my toilet broke once, okay? And it broke on a Friday, and I went downstairs and I was like, hey, my toilet won't stop flushing, like it's still making that noise, and you know, I'm a film student, I have to film some things, I do sound, I need to record some sound, and I can't do that. And the response I got was, oh, just use the toilet downstairs for now, we'll get someone on Monday. Excuse me? I had to go 4 days with just hearing constant flushing. 4 days. Also, on a Friday, we got a pattern coming on here, but on a Friday, my fire alarm broke. Now, if you know what a fire alarm does when it loses its battery, it just beeps. It just goes beep, 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 right? Consistently. But you don't know when it's going to beep. You can never really rely on your brain to remember the timings of the beeps, right? So it catches you off guard. And also, as someone that needs to film videos and has explained that to the people on the front desk, I can't with a fire alarm beeping. And I went downstairs and I was like, hey, it's beeping. I need to sleep. Like, I need to, you know, I need to live without this beeping, can you come and, you know, sort it? Can you come and do the thingy, like the the beeps? Can you just go and reset it? I don't want to break it, because if you break it, that's on you, but if I break it, you're going to take it out of my deposit, so do you want to come and do it? And their response was, oh, I don't actually know how to turn it off, so you'll have to wait until Monday till we can get maintenance out to have a look at it. And I don't think that's very professional, in my opinion, because I'm paying so much money and it was broken. And their responses was just, live with it. I do feel like there should be some basic understanding from the people that work the night shifts, at least, on certain things and how they work in Scape, because these things can happen, and I don't know why it was expected of us to live with them when we paid so much money to live there. You know, you don't expect these things to break and then not get fixed. I will say, actually, there was one guy who worked at Scape, and I'm pretty sure anyone that lived at Scape will know him. He was a true legend. He was the nicest guy ever. He would always see me, remember my face, and let me in at night instead of me having to fob in when I got back from work, which was just so nice, because it was clear that he was, you know, keeping an eye on whoever was coming in, keeping it safe, keeping people that didn't need to come in out, and recognising us and making us feel like, you know, human beings that were like up for a chat. And I know that one time he read my friend's like uni work and helped mark it and like give some ideas and stuff, and he was just always there to lend a hand. And he was great. So to him, I thank him, and I really wish he'd been there that night that I was mugged, because I feel like he would have been a much better individual. There was also a really nice woman, I can't remember her name, but she was also nice. But yeah, everyone else, I really just had bad times with them. No offense to them as human beings. I'm sure you're great people, but in that environment, wasn't great. Wasn't great. Now, ending this video on positives, because that's what we should be doing in our life. We should be focusing on the positives. The first thing is 24-hour concierge, 24-hour, you know, people in the lobby, unless they disappeared somewhere and didn't leave a note, which was a thing that actually tended to happen a lot. But usually there was someone in that reception area letting you in, or checking who was coming in, collecting parcels, so you never really missed a parcel. However, on that note, someone did actually lose my parcel, and then it showed up a year later, and I know that it had been delivered because it told me it had been delivered, but they said, oh no, we haven't got it. And then a year later, I mysteriously got it. There'd be a few times where you got notifications saying that your parcel had arrived, and you'd go downstairs and be like, hey, my parcel's here, and then they would literally just like gaze at the parcel area and go, nah, it's not here. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Because you couldn't really like fight that, you know? You couldn't be like, well, can I have a look? So yeah, sometimes it would take a while to get your parcels. However, usually you would get your parcels. That was really just a couple of times for me, and it was annoying when it happened, but yeah. 24-hour concierge is a good thing to have, because yes, they weren't always on top of it at night time, but in the daytime they were usually on it. If you had a problem or if you needed some help with something, they would be able to at least try and help you, which was always good. And we love never missing a parcel, because now living somewhere that doesn't have a concierge, I'm like, I have to be in for my parcel, calculating when I can order something. Another positive is, yes, it is extremely close to Ravensbourne. It is a 10-minute walk. I think the quickest I ever did it was 8 minutes, and that was me speed walking like there was no tomorrow to my lecture that I was late to, but I got there. So it's a very, very close walk. It's also right next to the Emirates, which that takes you to the Excel Centre and to the Royal Docks area. You have a Tesco's right there. You have loads and loads of restaurants. You have a little art exhibition. And yeah, it was a pretty decent place in itself to live. Also, the closest GP, it's basically opposite. You kind of go across the road and then into a little housing estate area, and it's there, and they were pretty nice. I obviously went there for my throat infection. But yeah, they helped me with that. Also, another positive is if you're just trying to find your feet in London, if you just need a place that, you know, you can sleep, eat and study, then Scape is a good place to go for first year. I highly don't recommend 2 years there. I think I heard someone stayed there for 5 years, and I was like, how the hell did you physically do that? But yeah, your first year, I think it's a good place to go. Don't expect the best nightlife. I know obviously my friends will be living with 8 people. That's 8 people that you constantly can be socializing with. But if you're at Scape, it's really 200 people share a kitchen that no one really goes to ever, so you very rarely actually socialise with anyone unless you drink a lot, which I don't. So I didn't really want to be part of the partying nightlife stuff, and even then none of them drank at Scape. They would pre-drink at Scape and then go somewhere else because no one wanted to drink at Scape. Also, another positive actually is there's no hidden fees other than that laundry thing. Once you pay your rent, that's your water and your electricity included. Wi-Fi is included as well. However, if you want to connect more than like 4 things, you have to buy a package deal, which is like 20 quid. I hope I've made sense of my thoughts and my ramblings. My takeaway is, if you need a place to live and you want somewhere that you feel safe and that you have the basic necessities that you need to study in London, then yeah, Scape is a good place for your first year. Don't stay there second year if you don't need to. And yeah, be prepared to spend a lot on laundry. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say on this topic. I know that if I included loads and loads of other friends in this video, they would have equal stories, and yeah, none of us really had the best time there. But again, uni accommodation isn't always the best. I know people have had trouble with like other places, and as I said, Bethany stayed in a different place first year and much preferred living in Scape for that 1 year. So I think 1 year is enough in that place. But I will say, if there is anyone who's gone to Ravensbourne, who stayed at Scape and wants to add in their experiences, please do. I want more people to know what they're getting into, because when I moved to Scape, there was one video and it was by Scape themselves. I just personally really enjoy watching review videos on things because I trust it a lot more than just words on paper. But if anyone has got any experiences that they want to talk about or they want to share, good or bad, like, I would prefer to see an equal amount of both, you know. We want to get as good of an impression as we can. I just feel like people that are going to be paying for Scape need to have a wider understanding of what they're getting themselves into than just what Scape says, because that is not a good thing. But yeah, that is it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're staying safe, and until next time, bye.